Sports.
The Dodgers' Raul Mondesi felt the pain. Slugger Mike Piazza inflicted the pain. Rookie Kerry Wood endured the pain of last night's 12-4 loss to the suddenly explosive Los Angeles Dodgers. Geremi Gonzalez witnessed it all from the best seat in the house, developing his own battle plan to beat the Dodgers tonight. He did it last weekend at Wrigley nearly single-handedly. But a little more help from Sammy tonight might help kiss off the Dodgers and get the Cubs back on track. Cubs-Dodgers Game 2 next. It's time for Cubs baseball once again from Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. Game 2 of this three-game set. A big crowd on hand for the Cubs and the Dodgers. Hi again, everybody. Chip Carey along with Steve Stone. Not good news to report last night, but certainly a different story we hope for the Cubs tonight. Jim Riggleman has shuffled his lineup, trying to find some offense for this Cubs team that's really gone into a hitting slump, Steve.
Well, Jose Hernandez is at third base tonight. We've got Brant Brown in left field. We've got Tyler Houston behind the plate. So a completely different lineup for Jim Riggleman and a matchup of right-handers tonight.
Geremi Gonzalez takes the ball for the Cubs. He pitched brilliantly his last time out. Speaking of brilliant, that's the way Darren Dreifert pitched in relief up in Wrigley Field. He makes his second start of the season for the Dodgers tonight. A beautiful night for baseball from Dodger Stadium. Glad you're with us. Game 2, Cubs and Dodgers. Lineups and more come your way right after this.
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN. Brought to you by Budweiser Beechwood Age for a crisp, clean, classic taste. The Discover Card, the card that pays you back with a cashback bonus award. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. Pepsi, Generation Next. ComEd, providing customers with reliable electric service for over 100 years. And by Southwest Airlines, offering low fares and frequent flights. Southwest Airlines, the official airline of the Chicago Cubs. Is your big crowd of over 40,000 or so expected tonight at Dodger Stadium here in Los Angeles. Second game of this three-game set between the visiting Chicago Cubs and the home-standing Dodgers. The Cubs have lost 3 in a row, need to score some runs tonight. And this is the Cubs Pepsi lineup. Lance Johnson, Mickey Morandini, Sammy Sosa, the top 3 in Jim Riggleman's lineup. Mark Grace is at first base. Brant Brown gives Henry Rodriguez a night off in left. Jeff Blauser back in the lineup again tonight. Tyler Houston hitting 158 in for a slumping Scott Service. Jose Hernandez, 2 for 2 with a homer and a double last night, starting for Kevin Orie at third. And pitching and batting ninth is Geremi Gonzalez.
And the defense for Bill Russell's Los Angeles Dodgers: Hollinsworth, Cedeno, and Mondesi left to right. In the infield, Zeal, Vizcaino, Young, and Eric Karros back in the lineup. And a battery of Mike Piazza and sinker balling Darren Dreifert. The Cubs saw him in Wrigley Field. He was brilliant. 5 2/3 innings of relief. It was spotless. Gave up a couple hits, no runs. In relief of Hideo Nomo, who had a terrible outing. But Dreifert, who had radical arm surgery, coming back now as a starter instead of a short reliever. And he's got a great sinker, a fastball that runs away from the left-handers, and he's mighty tough.
Making his second start of the season is Dreifert. You see the umpiring crew: Darling, Winters, Poncino, and Ripley tonight from Dodger Stadium. It's very simple, Steve. The Cubs have gotten very good starting pitching. The bullpen has been very solid as well, but something we haven't expected is what has happened the last couple of games. The Cubs have not been able to score many runs. 7 runs in their last 31 innings. And in the last 12 games for the Cubs, they've scored a grand total of 39 runs.
Well, one of the men that's had no problems delivering runs is Mike Piazza, the man you're looking at. And he's been a one-man gang for the Dodgers. Last night, The third grand slam of the month. It ties a major league record as he takes it just inside the pole. And Mike Piazza now has driven in 24 runs with his 8 home runs. And bear in mind, at the beginning of the year, he didn't hit anything.
But he is now hitting everything, and that's something Lance Johnson hopes will start happening for him. He's hitting only 105 on the year. Dreifert set to go, and we're underway from Dodger Stadium. 1 ball, no strikes to Johnson. Lance last night was 0 for 4 as the Dodgers won handily by a 12-4 score.
Dreifert, a good-sized right-hander at 6'2", 215 pounds, out of Wichita, Kansas. And you look at the last time out against the Cubs, he didn't walk anybody. And you'd like to make him get the ball up. That sinker is tough to handle, and it comes in the low 90s.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
Talk with Bill Russell about Darren Dreifert and just what he had to do to make a conversion from a relief pitcher to a starter. And he said he'll throw the occasional straight change. He's just learning it. But basically, you're looking at a power pitcher with a hard slider and a sinker. That's what he knows. That's what he does best. And that's what he'll probably do tonight. They can't look for too many changes.
Johnson swings and misses. And he strikes out swinging to open up the ball game. So his troubles continue. A look at the Dreifert sinker.
If the Cubs are going to do anything, they're going to have Lance Johnson starting to hit. And right now, that stroke is just not there. He's a little tardy on the swing and having all kinds of problems. And usually, he's a man that makes a lot of contact.
So he's retired, and the number 2 man in Jim Riggleman's lineup, Mickey Morandini, the batter. Didn't get the fastball, 0-1.
Dreifert, a number 1 pick out of Wichita State. And when he came to the major leagues, they wanted to make him a closer. But it was so much pressure on his arm that he wound up with elbow problems, and they don't want to see a repetition of that.
High and away, a ball and a strike. Well, he really looks like he slingshots the baseball at you.
Well, he does that, and it's that delivery and that almost 3/4 sidearm type motion that allows him to get as much sink on the ball as he does.
Toward first, diving is Eric Karros. Good play, and he feeds Darren Dreifert.
Well, if there's any question about the knee of Eric Karros that was surgically repaired this spring, we can probably put that to rest.
Batting third.
Good effort by Karros. He moves to his left. Dreifert is there to make the play. And defensively, with Karros at first, now that they have Cedeno at center, this team that was suspect defensively suddenly has tightened up somewhat.
Sammy Sosa got the game going in fine fashion for the Cubs last night. Hit a 2-out solo home run in the first. Same opportunity for him tonight against Dreifert. Sammy with 5 homers, 14 runs batted in, and Steve, he's in one of those streaks where he's a very, very tough out.
Well, when Sammy's patient, he always is a tough out. Now, patience is the key, and we've seen him walk more early than we saw most of last year.
So what's the reason for this sudden change?
Well, Sammy tells me that he's much more relaxed, that he's got usually Henry Rodriguez in the lineup. He feels that this lineup is a little more powerful than last year when he felt it was either him or nobody. And so a stronger lineup, a stronger Sosa, that's a good combination.
He takes strike 1.
You know, Sammy's highest average in the month of April was 229 coming into this year. And he's hitting 345, and Jim Riggleman certainly loves that, as you see Brant Brown in the background. And he'll be in left field tonight.
Sosa takes a shot at right, something else he's been trying to do a little more frequently.
Well, if Jeff Pentland and Jim Riggleman always stay on Sammy about hitting the ball to right field, saying, look, National League pitchers are going to stay away from you. Hit the ball to right field. Pepper the ball down the line. If you do that, eventually they have to come inside, and that's when you take them out. And there's a look at Jeff Pentland, the hitting instructor.
Strike 3 call. So it's 3 up, 3 down for the Cubs in the top of the first. We go to the bottom half at Dodger Stadium. A scoreless ball game.
She was always had lots. She could just herself. She made want to get away? Southwest has your ticket to freedom. Fly for only $39 with Southwest Airlines Fun Fares.
You are now free to move about the country.
You think he's going to show?
He's not here, and he's not going to be here. Honey, say something.
This is Diet?
Diet Pepsi. So light, so crisp, so refreshing. Now, inside packs of Diet Pepsi, get a free MCI prepaid calling card.
A lot of times when something goes wrong with your car, you know it right away. But some parts, like shock absorbers, tend to wear out gradually over time. So gradually that many drivers fail to realize just how worn their shocks have become. So rather than wait till it's painfully obvious that you need new shocks, stop by your nearest AutoZone. Right now, when you buy 3 Gabriel Gas Rider shocks or struts, you get the 4th one free, only at AutoZone.
Darren Dreifert got us 1, 2, 3 in the top of the first. Here's the Dodger lineup. They're a game below 500 with Young, Cedeno, and Piazza, the top 3. Zeal, Mondesi, Eric Karros making his first start of the 98 campaign. Then Hollinsworth, Vizcaino, and the pitcher Darren Dreifert.
And the Pepsi defense for Jim Riggleman, a little different tonight.
Geremi Gonzalez, his first pitch misses high to Young. 1 ball, no strikes.
Geremi was brilliant against Los Angeles in Chicago. He went 8 innings and just stifled this offense.
Young sends a drive toward left. Grant Brown on his horse makes the play.
Now we'll give you the Pepsi defense for Jim Riggleman and the Cubs. Brown, Johnson, and Sosa left to right. In the infield, Hernandez, Blauser, Morandini, and Mark Grace at first base, minus the goatee. And a battery of Tyler Houston and Geremi Gonzalez. And Geremi had a little hair work done before the game. They gave him the little buzz cut, so he is properly coiffed for tonight's game. And there's a look at the numbers. Doesn't show you how tough he was last start out against the Dodgers.
He was magnificent, no question about it. Pitched with a lot of pressure, too. He had had 2 very bad starts to open up the year. And had he stumbled in Wrigley Field, he might have been pitching in Iowa.
If you're sending young men to the mound, you have to have a little patience.
Bouncing ball towards second. Easy play from Mickey. And Cedeno's retired. So 2 up, 2 down for Geremi here in the first.
It's a good sign for Geremi because he's going right at the Dodger hitters. And that's one thing that Phil Regan told him. When he got in trouble the first couple of games, it was because he was nipping and throwing behind the hitters. Now he's going right at them. But here's one of the guys you don't want to go at, especially out away, and that's Mike Piazza.
He's only hitting .321 with 8 homers and 24 batted in.
He's also hit 8 of the last 12 Dodger home runs.
And Geremi gets a strike over, 0-1.
Now you can get the fastball in on his hands, and that's where you want to stay with it. But to do that and to force him to swing at it, you have to be ahead, which Geremi is right now.
The grand slam pitch he hit last night, I didn't think was necessarily a bad pitch. But Kerry Wood provided all the power.
Well, when you're as strong as he is, all you have to do is flip the head of the bat out, and that's all Piazza did. And it's only .330 down the line with that very low fence. The fortunate part for Piazza was that it stayed fair. He didn't hit it particularly hard. He hit it in a good spot.
Nasty pitch there. 1-2.
Early in the game here in Los Angeles, the pitcher has a tremendous advantage. Visibility is limited. The lights have not taken control, and at dusk, it's tough to see the ball very well. About the 3rd inning, everything evens out. But now, big advantage as you look around beautiful Chavez Ravine.
2 balls, 2 strikes to the Dodger catcher, Mike Piazza. Dodgers won last night 12-4. They had come into that game last night scoring the 3rd fewest runs in the National League. Now it's full to Piazza. You'd think this team would be much better offensive ball club with Cedeno, with Karros in the lineup every day.
That's what Bill Russell's banking on. Got him swinging. A 1-2-3 for Geremi Gonzalez. So both young pitchers starting very impressively. And after one at Dodger Stadium, we are still scoreless.
Making friends is our business was a motto that my grandfather created back in the 1950s when he came up with the slogan. Beer is about friendship, about relationships. It's about making friends, going out, meeting new people, and there's not a better beverage to do it with than a Budweiser. There are 500 million beer drinkers in the world, 80 million beer drinkers in the United States, and they must know something.
Here's your mail, Fred.
This saves me a trip.
Well, how's that?
Well, a while back, me and the missus heard about Premier Diabetic Services. We gave them a call, and now they send us all the diabetic supplies we need directly through the mail. The best part is it doesn't cost me a cent.
No kidding.
Yeah, mine's covered by Medicare, and Betty's is covered by her private insurance.
Sounds like you hit on a good thing, Fred.
Call Premier Diabetic today at 1-800-938-1615 to see if you qualify. That's 1-800-938-1615.
With AT&T One Rate, it costs $2.40 to make a 16-minute call from Miami to Chicago. With 10321, it's $4.47. With One Rate, it costs $1.20 to make an 8-minute call from Boston to Dallas. With 10321, it's $2.23. Surprised? Don't be. Most calls from home cost less with One Rate, without dialing any extra digits. Now, what state would you rather be in? If you don't have One Rate, get it today.
No score after one. 2 1-2-3 innings turned in by Darren Dreifert of the Dodgers and by Geremi Gonzalez of the Cubs. A glorious night for baseball here in Los Angeles. This Cub team, Steve, started very, very hot offensively, winning 8 of their first 10 games. But since, well, the offense has been silenced by some good pitching, too.
Well, that's no mystery when you take a look and you see 7.6 runs per game and an 8-2 record. All of a sudden, the offense has turned off. But let's take a look at who the runs were scored against. They were scored against some young pitchers with Florida and some young pitchers with Montreal. Now you're facing some veteran pitchers with San Diego and the Dodgers, so your pitchers have to be a little tougher because runs are harder to come by against these guys.
A clean-shaven Mark Grace stands in to lead off the Cubs second. Mark in the Cubs clubhouse shaved the goatee off, said, "I'm not hitting well, the team's not playing well," so off comes the facial hair.
I think that's be a big difference.
If only it were that easy, right?
Well, think about it. It's less friction when you move your head. Mark, of course, looks a whole lot younger now. So let's see if he can harken back to the middle of last year when he was hitting everything in sight.
He's down to 280. Here's Grace. No homers, 8 runs batted in. Let's just hope it doesn't get as drastic as what the Indiana Pacers did. They shaved their collective heads as a team. And
same thing with the Charlotte Hornets. And there are some bad-looking heads among those groups.
Yes, there are. Grace, base hit to right.
Told you, you can get the bat through the strike zone much more quickly with a clean-shaven face, as Mark Grace so clearly illustrated.
Well, maybe he'll get back to his base-stealing abilities, too.
Well, don't get carried away on that, but Darren Dreifert gets this ball up, and for a sinker baller, that's not good. For Mark Grace, that's excellent as he pounds the ball in to right field. And the skipper, Bill Russell, looking on, realizing his team has not lived up to expectations offensively. That's one of the reasons why they are well down the track to the San Diego Padres.
6 games to be exact as Brant Brown back in the lineup. 1 pitch, 2 outs.
Good play by Eric Young, who absolutely is getting better and better with every game defensively. And this is a tailor-made, too. Once Young makes the backhand, it's easy. Vizcaino, as accurate a thrower as there is at shortstop. You'll find guys with better range. You'll find some with stronger arms. But Jose is very accurate, and when he got that, Brant Brown couldn't outrun it.
So 2 outs, bases empty. Jeff Blauser back in the Cubs lineup. Got the day off yesterday. He takes a red-hot fastball. 1 ball, no strikes. Scoreless game in the top of the second inning from Dodger Stadium. There is ground to be gained, Mr. Stone told me before our broadcast. The reason? The Brewers lost tonight 2-1 to the San Francisco Giants.
Finally, the Brewers were cooled off, but they're still getting magnificent pitching.
They have the best ERA in the National League. It's under 3 runs a game as well. They've done a tremendous job.
Put that one together, running his record to 3-1. Ramon Martinez looking on, and he's charting tonight.
Jeff takes strike one. It'll be fun facing him tomorrow with the shirt sleeves, a bright sunny day, and him firing those 90-mile-an-hour fastballs at you.
It's a lot livelier here in the daytime, however. Easier to score runs.
Full count down to Blauser, 3-2. Other National League scores: Cincinnati beat the Mets 2-0. Arizona's beating Florida 4-2. That game now in the bottom of the 10th. Houston beats Montreal 4-3. Look out, here come the Astros. Cardinals over the Phillies 8-5. Colorado beat Atlanta 11-7. Blauser sends a drive toward the right center field gap, but Mondesi over. He's got it. And that retires the Cubs in the second. No runs, a hit, nobody left. After 1.5, still a scoreless duel at Dodger Stadium.
A lot of times when something goes wrong with your car, you know it right away. But some parts, like shock absorbers, tend to wear out gradually over time. So gradually that many drivers fail to realize just how worn their shocks have become. So rather than wait till it's painfully obvious that you need new shocks, stop by your nearest AutoZone. Right now, when you buy 3 Gabriel Gas Rider shocks or struts, you get the 4th one free, only at AutoZone.
If you use Right Guard, we challenge you to try new Arm & Hammer aerosol deodorant with odor-absorbing baking soda. Its unique formula is proven to work better than Right Guard to stop odor.
Scoreless game, bottom of the second inning. Here at Dodger Stadium, Todd Zeile, Raul Mondesi, and Eric Karros will bat here for the Dodgers against young Geremi Gonzalez.
One of the things that Geremi did since the early starts was he's working much more quickly. He's standing on top of that mound and coming right at the hitters, not giving them time to get set.
Chase the high fastball, 1-2.
Zeile had a big night last night with 3 hits. And if they get any production out of him in the 4 spot, he could score a lot more runs with Mondesi and Karros now back in the lineup.
Strike 3 called on the outside corner. Zeile did not like the call, but Geremi has his second strikeout of the game.
Well, if both pitchers get this pitch, it's going to be tough to hit tonight. Take a look at it. It's low and away. It's just off the corner. You see Tyler Houston bring it back. Whenever you see a catcher bringing the ball back like that, in his mind, he doesn't believe it's a strike. But if he can bring it back quickly enough or ease it back onto the corner, you might get the benefit of the call. That pitch is unhittable. If it's a called strike, guys will sit down.
So here's Raul Mondesi now, hitting .208, 2 homers, 5 runs batted in. Steve, they've really been booing this guy regularly here at Dodger Stadium. He has not put up the kind of numbers they thought he would be putting up, but with Eric Karros batting behind him, you would think that those averages, those power numbers would start to rise now.
Well, you take a look at the first pitch and you see why he's hitting down there. That pitch was well out of the zone and he swung at it. Now he finds himself in an 0-2 hole. And it's tough to hit 0-2, especially in this league.
Well, that's where Jeremy's got Mondesi, the Dodger right fielder, here in the second inning.
It was Joey Amalfitano who last night calmed Mondesi down at third base when he got there after he was hit by Kerry Wood. He said, Raul, the young man wasn't throwing at you. He's just having a hard time finding the strike zone.
I wonder what some of today's young stars would have done with a Bob Gibson or a Don Drysdale on the mound. Those guys made their living on the inner half of the plate, and the way the game is now, a hitter thinks you're throwing at him if you try to cut the inside corner off.
It's a completely different era, and you're right. Things have changed drastically.
Again, the 0-2, and he strikes out.
Well, that's why Mondesi is hitting at 200, because he's got a nose-to-toe strike zone, and he's swinging at everything.
First baseman.
Take a look at this pitch at 0-2. Well out of the zone, the high heat. See you later. And 3 strikeouts in a row now for Geremi.
And now a warm welcome for Eric Karros. A big year last year for the Dodgers. And they are glad to have this man back.
267 consecutive games, snap opening day with that knee surgery. And slap another 2,000 or so on that, and you've got Cal Ripken, who played in game number 2,500.
Karros pops that ball up over toward the Cub dugout. Mark Grace can't make the play, but a fan does.
Dandy play by the fan. Brought his glove and made the catch. Getting the high five. Like an old first baseman with that left-handed glove.
But you have to be impressed with the way Geremi Gonzalez has been pitching, and now the umpires are saying to Geremi, either take off.
Right, I'm kind of surprised they allowed him to have that anyway. I think they want him to either take it off or put it in the shirt.
So Geremi puts the Mr. T starter kit in the back pocket and goes back to work here.
You can't do anything to distract the hitter. Not that that's going to be much of an advantage if you hang a few breaking balls, but that's what the rule says.
So Karros digs back in. No balls, 2 strikes. Karros, one of those many consecutive rookies of the year for the Dodgers. High pop. Again, Grace will give chase. And again, he'll run out of room. That fan almost had a second chance to make a play.
We talked about it last night, but if you weren't with us, there's a lot of room here at Dodger Stadium, perhaps more room than any other park in the National League. And so on any foul pop, you can't give up. And we pan around, take a look. You can run for a long time, and that's why this has always been a great pitcher's park.
Mark McGwire hit number 10 for the Redbirds today. And the Cardinals continue their good work. Night off for Scott Service. Tyler Houston in the lineup. Try to get him going as well. 2-2 to the Dodger first baseman. That ball hammered toward right. And the inning is over. 3 up, 3 down for the Dodgers in the second. We move to the third. Scoreless at Chavez Ravine. Well, no kidding. We've got a good game going here after 2 at Dodger Stadium. The Cubs have the game's only hit. And as we move to the top of the third, Tyler Houston, Jose Hernandez, and Geremi Gonzalez will go to work. Jeremy's been buzzing through the Dodger lineup with 3 strikeouts already in the game. Tyler Houston, 0 for his last 13.
Well, Tyler can break out of it if he takes that sinker away and drives it to left or left center. They've been staying away from him quite a bit. He's getting to the point where he's trying to pull everything.
A ball and a strike.
Cubs would love to see his bat come alive against some of the tougher right-handers. There's 5 left-handed bats in the lineup. That puts a lot of pressure on the right-handers.
Again, he tries to check his swing and could not hold up.
Well, that's a sign when 2 pitches out of 3, you're taking half cuts. That's a sign you're not picking up the ball. He's not looking for the release point, or the motion of Dreifert, at least to Tyler Houston at this point, is a little confusing.
Two and two for Tyler. Jose waits on deck. Big hits for him last night. He accounted for 3 of the 4 Cub RBIs, including a home run last night.
And it got him a start tonight at third base, and Kevin Ory gets the night off. And that's a guy that they would love to see get going. Kevin Ory really struggling last night in 4 at-bats. Did not have the ball out of the infield. He's worked hard at trying to make some adjustments, but so far it hasn't paid the type of dividends that I know both Kevin and Jeff Pentland want. But he is still the everyday third baseman.
Again, the 2-2 and a swing and a miss. Dreifert has his 3rd strikeout.
Well, if it seems to you that the Cubs are grounding into a few double plays, that's because you've been watching a lot of our games. Cubs have grounded into 19, including 1 here tonight. The opposition has only grounded into 8. So when you're facing some sinker ballers and you have runners on, you're going to hit some ground balls, and so far the Cubs have been taken out of a lot of innings with the double play ground ball.
There's Mr. Ory. He'll be back at him tomorrow afternoon. 1 ball, no strikes to the Cub third baseman, Jose Hernandez. And all kinds of Cub fans on hand here at Dodger Stadium. A huge crowd on a gorgeous Saturday night at Chavez Ravine. Normally a late arriving crowd. They've gotten here early for this 2nd game of a 3-game set. And we're glad you're with us as well tonight, wherever you may be. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, Jose is hoping that Dreifert hangs one, middle in preferably. Last night he homered to left center, but he also rifled the double down the first base line. That was a good piece of hitting.
2-2. We won't see Mr. Nomo.
Well, if he's going to throw the way he did at Wrigley Field, that probably hurts us, but he put together a good one in Milwaukee in his next start.
2-2. Almost hit him. 3 balls, 2 strikes now. The Astros have beaten the Expos 4-3. Urbina took the loss. Jose sends a pop into shallow right. Mondesi in foul ground. He makes the play.
Well, we told you how much room there is, and Mondesi was around toward right center and had a long run, but Raul has tremendous speed. He stayed right with it, and he made the play. That would have been a souvenir in most ballparks, but not here. Well, despite the fact that it's an older park, this is still a beautiful park.
Especially if you're a pitcher.
Yes, sir. It's a great mound to throw off of, maybe the best.
Geremi may have broken his bat. What makes this mound better than the others?
You know, it's hard to say. It seems like, and it always seemed to me, like you were closer to the catcher in this mound. I don't know. Obviously, it's 60 feet 6 inches, but the mound always seemed a little bit higher here. I know that there was a restriction that it was supposed to be 10 inches high. It just seemed like they always tailored everything to Dodger pitching. Pitching has been the trademark of the Dodgers for many, many, many years. This is a great park to pitch in, and it just is a wonderful mound. You see the clay there. It very rarely digs out. You always have good, secure footing. And, of course, year after year after year, the Dodgers put together a staff that is really tough to hit.
Darren Dreifert's been tough to hit so far tonight. And Geremi in an 0-2 hole.
Geremi hurt himself. And it's the left hand. Well, there's a little bone in there called the hook of the hamate that we've seen a lot of guys hurt as they swing the bat. And Geremi comes up a little sore.
That pops away from Piazza, 1-2. He also had a couple of shots off his glove in Chicago. You remember, the Dodgers took target practice at Geremi. One of them ricocheted off the glove, but he wasn't hurt. He fielded his position very well. He swings and misses that time. Piazza's going to have to throw him out. Low throw, but a great play by Karros to scoop it up.
3 up, 3 down in the third. That's the fourth Dryford punch-out in the game. To the bottom half we go. Still scoreless at Dodger Stadium. Todd Hollinsworth to lead it off for the Dodgers here in the bottom of the third inning. Geremi Gonzalez has been perfect thus far. He has struck out 3. And Hollinsworth has a vicious hack and comes up empty. Nothing in 1.
Well, Hollinsworth describes himself as a very aggressive hitter. But as a hitter, you have to be selectively aggressive. You just can't go up there swinging at everything. And that one was up and out of the zone, and that's where you can get him.
Nothing in 2. Tell you what, Geremi is very aggressive, too. He is, as you mentioned, going right after the hitters. No nibbling so far tonight.
Well, throw another high fastball, and you've got him. Make sure that it's up and out of the zone, however.
That one fouled away. Tyler couldn't hang on. It's nothing in 2. Anaheim won tonight in Tampa Bay. They beat the Devil Rays 7-1. Ken Hill picked up the win for the Angels. White Sox drilled Toronto, as you may have seen earlier tonight. 8-1 the final at Comiskey Park. Scott Air picked up the win. Yankees beat Detroit again. 5-4. Tigers cannot beat the Yankees to save themselves.
I would think that the Tigers will be very happy when they no longer have to see the New York Yankees. Seems like they play them most every day, and they lose most every day to them.
1-2. Got him with a slow breaking ball. Good pitch. 4 strikeouts for Geremi. Leadoff man out here in the third. And Cubs fans, we'd like to remind you that Saturday, May 9th is Duncan Imperial Yo-Yo Day. Compliments of Scala's preferred. The first 10,000 kids 13 and under attending the Cubs-Giants game on May 9th will receive a limited edition Duncan Imperial Yo-Yo. For tickets, stop by the Wrigley Field box office or call 312-831-Cubs.
You have to watch the bunt with Vizcaino. He does it well and usually likes to push it to third.
Showed it, took a strike, though.
Jose Hernandez is an excellent third baseman. That might be his best position. He's got great hands and a very strong arm.
1 ball, 1 strike. He's just been biding his time, waiting for an opportunity to get into the lineup. Jose Vizcaino behind 1-2 now.
This is a symmetrical ballpark. 330 down each line, 370 to the power alleys, 395 to straightaway center. Tough to get the ball out of here to center field at night. The daytime, it does fly out of here. But at night, it's very dead in the alleys.
The 1-2. It's 2-2 now. Other American League scores. Boston beat Cleveland. Brett Saberhagen, another win.
4-0, isn't he?
Yes, indeed. Baltimore beat Oakland 8-2. And the other AL action still ongoing. High pop down the left side. Long run for Jose, and he can't get there in time. And Vizcaino stays alive.
Vizcaino has had the good fortune of being in the last 2 postseasons. With the Giants last year, with the Indians in '96. So he does have postseason experience.
Goodbye. Breaking ball. Got him again. 5 strikeouts for Gonzalez. Sharp as attack tonight in Los Angeles.
This is a good curveball, and that's one of the pitches that gave Geremi some problems early in the season, but apparently he's worked out those difficulties under Phil Regan, who talked to him a little bit about his mechanics. And tonight, everything he's throwing is sharp. This is a pretty good hitter, by the way, in Dryford.
A .318 career hitter in college. But he waves and misses. 0-1, 0-4 so far this year.
Let's look at Phil Regan, who has to be one of the happiest men in the park at how Geremi Gonzalez is throwing tonight.
1-1. This is one of those nights, too, Steve, I would guess that Jim Riggleman, for so many reasons, would like to see Geremi take this ball game deep. Riggleman's had to use the pen a lot. We had the 14-inning game in Chicago. Mari Telemaco has been A rubber-armed reliever down there.
Well, 7 relief appearances of 2 innings or more for Amari, and that is a lot of work early.
1-2 to Dreifert. And he stays alive.
You know, another factor, Bob Patterson is ready to come off the disabled list. And perhaps this outing tonight by Geremi will determine just exactly if they go with 12 pitchers or if they go with 11 pitchers and keep another position player. So this one has ramifications.
Got him swinging. He strikes out the side. He's punched out 6 Dodgers. He's perfect through 3. On to the 4th we go. Still scoreless. Scoreless after 3 in Los Angeles. After this brief 5-game Western trip, we'll be heading back home for a long homestand. And a reminder for you, the Sunday, May 3rd, Daisy the Cow Beanie Baby Day is now a complete sellout. There are, however, still limited standing room only tickets that will go on sale at Wrigley Field the day of the game. Those youngsters, I'm sure, would like to have some of Arnie's Daisy the Cows.
If you can get there before Arnie, you got a chance to get a cow or 2.
First pitch swinging is Lance Johnson and a solid single to right. And hopefully that's just what the doctor ordered. He is now 5 for 40 on the year.
Well, that's what the Cubs are looking for, and Lance Johnson loves to hit early in the count, so first pitch swinging. And Dreifert gets this one up and out over the plate. Now let's see if we see a hit and run. Mickey Morandini makes some contact. This is a good situation for it, and Piazza is not the best thrower in the world.
Mickey had his 7-game hit streak snapped last night, but still has hit in 7 of his last 8. And now he steps off. And Dreifert the same. Scoreless game in the Cubs' 4th at Dodger Stadium. 2nd game of the 3-game series. The Cubs try to even things up here tonight. Foul back. It's 0-1.
Dodger opponents have swiped 23 bases. They've been caught just 6 times. So odds are overwhelming. If you do go, you got a pretty good shot at making it. But Dreifert is a little quicker than Nomo and Martinez to the plate. So he presents a challenge in trying to run.
Good lead by Lance over at first. Look how he stands, Steve, after he's gotten his lead. One hand in front of his body, one hand almost behind his back.
It's an unusual way to do it, but every base stealer has a different style. This is a most unusual one.
See, it's almost like he's going to pump those fists to give himself the momentum quickly. Dodgers must think they have a sign, too.
Well, 0-1 is probably the worst pitch to run, because if you do call a pitch out, you really don't lose anything. You have the count even at 1-1. You rarely see 2 pitch outs in a row, so if you're Jim Riggleman, this would be a good time to send Lance Johnson.
Again, he takes that Mr. Universe pose down stance, and off and running he went on the hit and run, but Mickey fouled it away. That's how you... It kind of looks like you standing in front of the dressing room mirror.
That's it, huh?
All bulked up, ready to go.
Well, Lance used to be an excellent base stealer, but the last couple of years, with all of the leg problems, he's tailed off somewhat. And from that angle, you see a pretty decent lead by Johnson.
Again, he measures it off. Not going this time, and Mickey stays alive. Minnesota's up in Seattle. They're leading the Mariners 2-1, bottom of the 7th inning at the Kingdome. Wild game in Kansas City. 8-5, Texas has the lead, as they've had in the 6th. All the other American League action is in the books. Hats off to the White Sox. They won tonight 8-1 at home over Toronto. 1-2. Chopper foul. Good battle here between Morandini and Dreifert.
1996, Lance stole 50 bases for the New York Mets in the National League. Last year, a total of 20 bases. We talked about the leg problems. There's 2 types of leads. They tell you about the normal lead off first base. Then the secondary lead is how far you get off with the pitch. And on a ground ball, you have to take a good secondary lead if you're not running.
He is running this time. Pitch outside. Piazza's throw terrible into center field. Johnson, however, could not get up.
Well, that's why they run on Mike Piazza, because he can hit and he can block low pitches. He just doesn't throw very well. And now 24 of 30 would-be base stealers have been successful. Piazza had all the best of it. Had a low outside pitch, makes a terrible throw. And, of course, Eric Young, seeing the ball get away, just lays on Lance a little longer. Now you want to make sure to pull the ball to move Johnson along to third.
Let's see if Mickey can do that now on the 2-2. He cannot. He swings and misses. So Dryford has his fifth strikeout. Morandini upset with himself. He couldn't do the job.
Stolen bases by the opposition, the Dodgers, right at the top. So that's the one thing they give you. They have a lot of pitchers who are slow to home plate. And Mike Piazza, who many people feel will eventually be ticketed for first base, not throwing particularly well behind the plate. But on the other hand, you would love his bat in the middle of your lineup.
I don't think anybody would complain about that, no question. It's kind of like Shaquille O'Neal of the Lakers. He can make free throws, but I think you like the other things he does. So here's Sammy. He was caught looking his first time. A hit means a run. And Sosa has reached base 9 times in his last 12 at-bats.
This is one of the few teams that actually plays Sammy just a couple steps toward right. They don't play him as a dead pull hitter. Very deep all the way around.
And they keep keeping the ball away from him, too. 2-0.
Well, Dryford is the kind of guy that Sammy should be able to hit because he's a sinker baller and he keeps the ball down normally, and that's where Sammy likes it.
Three balls, no strikes.
Well, you know he's given the 3-0 green light just about every time. So if Dryford gets careless, Sammy should have a good rip.
Almost no wind at all here at Dodger Stadium tonight. But Sammy's strong enough to reach the seats. 3 balls, no strikes. Swung on, hammered toward the gap, right center. Nobody's going to get back. Johnson's going to score easily. Sosa's on his way to second. Ball skips away from Mondesi. No other advance by Sosa. A stand-up double, and the Cubs take the 1-0 lead. That ball was really sizzled into the right center field gap.
RBI number 15 for Sammy. He did get the 3-0 green light, and he drills this ball into right center. And as you see, Dryford keeps the ball down just exactly where Sammy wants it. He bounces it off Don Drysdale. And then Mondesi juggles it for a bit before getting it in.
So another runner in scoring position as Mark Grace, the batter. He singled his first time up. Cubs lead 1-0 here in the 4th. One and 0. Lance Johnson helped create a run. A single, a stolen base, then Sosa splits the gap in right center. It's 2-0. Want to wish a happy 41st birthday to Joe Abeta in Albuquerque, New Mexico. His daughter Jocelyn is at the ball game tonight, so happy birthday, Joe, and many happy returns. They play Grace to the opposite field. The 2-0. Dryford behind, 3-0 now.
And a lot like Sammy, Mark Grace in this situation probably has a 3-0 green light. He's been stuck on 8 runs batted in for a bit, and he would certainly love to improve on that.
Taking that time, 3-1.
Mark was in a 5-for-36 skid before that base hit in the second inning. But you know he's going to be over 300 for Jim Riggleman by the end of the month, at least you hope. The 3-1. Took a shot at left. Full count now. This game and Pirates-Padre game, the only other games in progress in the National League, and Pittsburgh beating San Diego again. 3-1 the score. Padres batting in their half of the third. We'll see them in a couple of days. The 3-2. Swung on, belted toward right. Mondesi on the run. It's over his head. He can't make the play. It skips the wall. Sosa rounds third. The throw comes in toward second. No relay. A long single for Grace. And the Cubs lead 2-0.
Well, it's good to see the smile on Mark Grace's face. He drives in his 9th run. He's happy to drive in the run. He's also probably realizing that this is the longest single that anybody's hit in this park as he takes it off the wall. Mondesi does a nice job of getting the ball back in. And Mark Grace, sans the goatee, has broken into the hit column in a big way. 2 for 2.
If it were that easy, he may shave his head.
That would have been next if this slump would have continued.
So 2 in. Grace at first. Still 1 out here in the 4th. And Brant Brown the batter. Brant, a very popular character here in California. Needed 40 tickets for the game tonight, plus 150 junior high school students from Pioneer Junior High School are at the game to see Brant tonight. He wrapped into a double play his first time, and he hopes he doesn't do it again here. 1-1 the count. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN, Chicago.
The lush palm trees outside Dodger Stadium. The Cubs have a 2-0 lead. They finally touched up Dreifert. Runner goes, and Grace is going to be retired.
Well, a clean-shaven Mark Grace is a much better hitter, but speed-wise, not much to write home about. And that was a pretty good throw right there by Mike Piazza. So Mark Grace now 2 out of 4. And Vizcaino just waiting for him to arrive.
So 2 outs, bases empty now. And Brown. The count now even 2-2. Young man Kerry Wood, a rough outing here at Dodger Stadium last night. But he's going to learn every time he takes the mound. A high pop, a mile high. And it's off the Dodger dugout. You know, Steve, there are a lot of folks, I guess, who are wondering now, was Kerry Wood rushed to the major leagues too soon? I'm of a feeling that it's not going to teach him anything to go down to AA or AAA or anywhere in the minor leagues and win 15, 20 games down there. The only way he's going to get better as a major league pitcher is to go out and pitch well or take his lumps at the major league level, because that's where he's going to be.
Well, I think the same thing that you do. He's going to learn some lessons up here. They didn't exactly crush him last night. It was a control that did him in, and he seemed to have taken it in stride. And he is going to be able to dominate any minor league that he goes to. So the only way that you would even entertain the idea of sending him down perhaps would be if you are in the race, it's June, say, and he's just not pitching well, then you bring up somebody in his spot. But right now, he's got to learn some lessons in the major leagues, and the only way to do that is to go to the mound.
And two, you're not talking about someone who is of fragile confidence.
Not that.
Again, the payoff to Browning. Foul back our way. The count remains 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Cubs have jumped on Dreifert for a couple of runs here in the fourth. And Brown draws the 2-out walk. First one of those that the Dodger right-hander has surrendered. Geremi Gonzalez has been brilliant so far for the Cubs. He has struck out 6 Dodgers in 3 innings.
And Sammy is having the best April of his career. He's got the Cubs on the board with his 15th run driven in. So now you have a situation where you don't mind running with Brown.
Cubs have stolen 1 base. They've had 1 man thrown out by Mike Piazza. Brad has a good lead, was leaning towards second, but gets back safely. Brad's bat's making it tough to take him out of the lineup.
I think he's going to get some play and going to continue to play.
Little chin music to Jeff.
I wouldn't be surprised tomorrow, if being a day game after a night game, if he started in center field and Lance had the day off.
Two balls, no strikes. Our first wave of the night has begun here at Dodger Stadium.
And we can only hope it's the last.
Not a wave fan, huh?
No, not a big fan of the wave.
It's more of a ripple. So far. 2-0. He missed again.
That's what's gotten Dreifert in trouble. Unlike the first 3 innings when he stayed ahead of the hitters, this inning he has been consistently behind.
4 straight 3-ball counts now. Brown a short lead, the 3-0 pitch. And Blauser walks now. So 2 on, 2 out, 2 in.
Maybe we'll see Goose Gregson, and I guess, yes, we are. We'll see the new Dodger pitching coach as he comes out to talk with Dreifert. Bear in mind, this is only his 2nd start of the year, and you bounce somebody between the bullpen and the starting rotation, it's tough to get horribly consistent.
And the Dodger bullpen starts to get busy. I beg your pardon, Steve. Jim Bruschi gets ready to perhaps come into tonight's ball game.
Well, a couple more base hits, and the Dodgers, who normally don't have a lot of firepower in that lineup, especially against right-hand pitchers, will probably go to that pen. They can't afford to get too far behind.
So Tyler Houston now with 2 men out. We'll try to build on this Cub lead. 2-out hitting's been one of the many strengths of this Cub team so far this year. Base hit would mean another run perhaps as Brown a big lead at second. A chopper towards short should end the inning, and it does. 2-run score on 3 hits. The Cubs leave 2 stranded. After 3.5, it's 2-0 Cubbies.
The 24-ounce bottle from WGN. 50 years as Chicago's very own.
Geremi Gonzalez has been perfect. He has struck out 6 Dodgers, but as Steve mentioned, as the evening progresses at Dodger Stadium, the advantage maybe tips to the hitters a little more.
Well, I think they see the ball a little bit better now, and the Cubs broke through in the 4th, so Geremi is going to have to continue to make some real solid pitches.
He's got the top of the order, but he's had no trouble so far.
There's a collage of the strikeouts. And he's made some excellent pitches. Good curveball. And a 6 set down through 3.
So he has excellent command to start tonight's ball game. Young with a ball and a strike count. Chopper toward third. Oh, Jose snags it and throws him out.
Good solid play. That was a tough hop. And Jose got caught in between hops, but we told you about his quick hands down there, and he made the play. So 10 in a row retired by Geremi Gonzalez. You see it come up. It hit the lip where the grass meets the dirt, and Jose just stayed with it. And nobody outruns that, Arnold.
Roger Cedeno.
So here's Roger Cedeno. He grounded to second his first time up. 1 ball, no strikes.
Cedeno had a hamstring problem in spring training. It kept him on the shelf until last night's game. And with him in the lineup, it gives him a bona fide center fielder for the first time this year.
Good pitch. It's 1-1. Jose in at the grass at third. Cedeno 1 for 3 on the year. They activated him in time for last night's game. Eric Karros in time for tonight's. Geremi Gonzalez has retired the first 10 men he's faced. Bill Russell trying to get his offense going. They got going last night, but he's hoping they save some runs for tonight's game too. It's 2-2 now. Shallow left. On comes Brown. He's got it. 11 in a row. And this is how you like to see Mike Piazza. Bases empty and 2 outs.
Catcher, number 31, Mike Piazza.
Mike struck out swinging his first time up.
Two managers, Jim Riggleman, Bill Russell. This is Bill Russell's first managerial job in the big leagues, and Jim Riggleman's second.
1 ball, no strikes to the Dodger catcher.
I don't think Sammy can get any deeper without taking a seat in the stands in right field. He is way back there.
Bouncing ball to the right side. Grace Fields flips. Good play at both ends. And Geremi Gonzalez, folks, is perfect through 4 at Dodger Stadium. A 2-0 Cubs lead as we head to the 5th inning. And friends, treat yourself or your favorite Cubs fan to Vine Line, the Cubs monthly newspaper. Vine Line provides a year-round package of Cubs coverage for fans nationwide. Subscriptions start at only $19.95. All 2-year subscribers receive a free copy of the Ryan Sandberg Day commemorative program. To order Vine Line, please call 773-404-Cubs. Jose Hernandez will lead it off in the Cubs' 5th. 0-1. How long can Dryford go, Steve? As you mentioned, he's been a swingman for the Dodgers. How many innings do you think he'd be able to give them tonight?
He limited the pitches through 3, had a tough 4th. I'm thinking he could go 7. 5 1/3 in relief against the Cubs at Wrigley Field. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get 7 out of him because they might pinch hit for him in the 6th, depending on what happens with Geremi Gonzalez. But I think he's strong enough to go into the 7th, certainly.
1 ball, 2 strikes on the 74th pitch he's thrown in this game.
That's with the pitches piling up. I would think that 6 would be about the key.
One ball, 2 strikes to Jose Hernandez. Filling in for Kevin Ory tonight. And strike 3 called. Good pitch. That's 6 punch-outs for Dryford in his 5th inning of work.
Pitcher.
Piazza wants it away, and Dryford throws it right there, and that's a dandy. Bill Russell spent a long apprenticeship. He was always the heir apparent to Tommy Lasorda's job and remained that way for quite some time. Managed in winter ball, managed at Albuquerque, so he had a world of experience when he took the reins.
A strike to Geremi, who struck out swinging and was thrown out by Mike Piazza. There's Tommy. Neat mural they have painted on the outfield fence here at Dodger Stadium. But I'm looking forward to getting back home and seeing that beautiful green ivy.
Should be ready to go by the time the Cubs get back. It won't be in full bloom yet, but it's going to be a lot greener than when we left.
2 balls and a strike. You know it's spring and approaching summer when Mr. Stone allows the booth windows to be taken away.
That's a much better shot up into the booth.
And that's the important part. 2-1. Swinging bunt. 2 out. That FaceTime is someone I've worked with in the past has said is so very, very important.
Center fielder.
Yes.
Number 1, Lance.
2 outs.
Johnson.
To the top of the order we go. Lance Johnson, a solid single, a stolen base, and the first Cub run scored back in the 4th inning. Maybe a sign that he's going to start to snap out of it. Lance off to a 5 for 40 start.
Well, they're playing in at the corners. Lance doesn't bunt all that often, but Zeal and Karros have decided that in case he does, they're going to be right there waiting for it.
Two balls, no strikes. Boy, if this guy could have, she said, on-base percentage around 40%, setting the table for the middle of the Cubs order, who knows what this Cubs team could do.
That's what you're looking for, 400 on-base percentage from your leadoff hitter.
3-1.
Normally, if tradition holds true and this one stays in the ballpark, Lance usually swings at it. He doesn't walk too often.
Full count now, 3-2. Johnson trying to work Dryford here in the Cubs' 5th. Payoff pitch smacked into center field, but right at Cedeno. 3 up, 3 down in the Cubs' 5th. We go to the bottom half. Geremi Gonzalez still perfect, and the Cubs lead 2-0. 2-0 our score. Todd Zeal for the Dodgers in the 5th. It's been 12 up, 12 down for Geremi Gonzalez, who has had an outstanding breaking ball tonight. A base hit to right. So Todd Zeal breaks up the no-hit bid.
Right fielder, number 43.
So 1 on with nobody out for the Dodgers. And here's Raul Mondesi.
Todd Zeal rains on the parade of Geremi Gonzalez by taking it through the right side. He stayed right with what looked like a slider and jammed it into right field. And it breaks up the perfect game.
And now Mondesi, you heard him get introduced. They were not saying Raul. They were saying boo. They are not happy with this guy. He's having a tough year.
Well, after hitting .310 last year and hitting everything in sight, they have not greeted him warmly this year. But he lays off that one, something he didn't do the first time up. And you take a look at the numbers from this young man. 30 home runs, 87 runs batted in, 32 stolen bases to go with that .310 average. And you realize what he's capable of. Geremi has handled the Dodgers very well. Let's hope that trend continues.
Very short lead by Todd Zeal from first. And Geremi Falls behind 2-0. He has not done much of that so far in the ball game.
Well, there's something here that young pitchers have to fight through, and that is you've been in a windup if you're a starting pitcher the entire game. Now, this is the first time you move into a stretch, and sometimes, if it's a little later in the game, you have some trouble with your control.
Swung on, belted. We are tied.
Not much doubt about that one. Geremi fell behind 2-0 and laid in a fastball, and Raul Mondesi hit his third. He's driven in 7, and just like that, it's a tie ball game, and that shows you just how strong Mondesi is. He just crushed that ball.
And now they are saying Raul, and the boos turn to cheers, and we're tied at 2.
You see that fastball on the inner half? All Geremi does is drop his head. You can tell if you're a pitcher by the sound of the bat where the ball's going to wind up, and that one wound up about 405 feet away.
So we're back where we started now. 2-2 game. Nobody on or out. And Eric Karros looks away, 1-0. You fell behind Mondesi and laid in a fastball, and he just crushed it.
And now Tyler Houston going out to talk with Geremi Gonzalez, who was rolling right along perfect through 4 before Zeal stepped up and Raul Mondesi crushed one to left center.
The meeting a brief one. And Karros in the driver's seat now. 2 balls, no strikes. 3-0.
Well, normally Karros would have a 3-0 green light, but the fact that he's been inactive since the early parts of spring training might force Russell to give him a take sign here.
That one right through there.
Karros will be hitting in the 4th spot as soon as he has a few more at-bats under his belt.
Breaking ball, that's drilled, but he's out in front.
When you fall behind and that fastball comes middle in, the big boys hit it a long way, and Mondesi knew it was gone when it left the bat.
So now Karros with a 3-2 pitch coming. That ball's hit into shallow right. And there's out number 1. So Geremi recovers and gets Karros.
Left fielder.
And the left fielder, Todd Hollingsworth, stands in.
Hollingsworth.
Hollingsworth last year had a very disappointing season, following up his Rookie of the Year season. It just .247.
He even took a trip back to AAA last year.
What they found out about him here was that he very rarely likes to walk, only 4 in 77 at-bats. And because of that, they start him off with pitches out of the zone. He swings at him and finds himself consistently behind.
No balls, 2 strikes. In on the hands.
Well, Geremi can throw a curveball down low, preferably in the dirt, 0-2. Or one of those high fastballs head high, he'll probably get it.
Just missed. And it's 1-2. Game tied at 2. Raul Mondesi just hit his 3rd homer of the year.
And the bullpen up and going for the Dodgers.
Vizcaíno's on deck. Then the pitcher's spot would be next. Mark Guthrie, the left-hander.
With Dreifert now probably at the 80, 83, 2 or 3 pitch mark. You wonder how long they'll go with it.
Well, foul at first.
Ken Griffey Jr. just had an RBI single for Seattle in the bottom of the 8th inning. They've tied Minnesota 2-2 in the bottom of the 8th. Texas over Kansas City 11-7 in the 7th. And a good battle here in the Dodger 5th. Cubs trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. Halfway home in this one. And tomorrow it's Steve Traxel and Ramon Martinez.
Raul Mondesi has tied it up. Other than that, both pitchers have been pretty tough tonight.
Again, the 1-2. Got him with a pitch out of the strike zone again.
Well, that's what you're looking for, something high and out of the zone. And twice tonight, Hollinsworth has gone down on strikes.
Number 10, Jose Vizcaíno.
Strikeout number 7. And Hollinsworth can't be very happy with himself.
So 2 outs for Vizcaíno. Jose caught looking his first time. 1-0. The right fielders have provided the fireworks. Sammy with an RBI. Mondesi with 2 of them. It's 2-0.
And Matt Luke in the on-deck circle, so looks like they're going to go to Guthrie. Certainly will if Vizcaíno keeps his inning alive.
He bids to do that, but he smacks it into straightaway center. Lance is there, and that retires the side. Nice recovery from Geremi after the 2-run homer by Mondesi. It does, however, tie the game at 2 after 5 here at Chavez Ravine.